A tremendously competitive season with 5 different winners has brought us down to the last 2 races. Hisada's pace has meant numerous pole positions, but it's been unable to collect him nearly as many wins. Sanchez seems to always be waiting in the wings, ready to pounce on the slightest mistake. And that has placed both rivals as our main protagonists as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes, our director Eddie Smith, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Barcelona is a track that has seen so much more than just the 30 years of Grand Prix racing. Testing has meant F1 cars have pounded the pavement here perhaps more than any other venue in the world. Let's take a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get it past them. After that, your next hope might be into Lacaja, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. Well, Joey, this place is maybe a little bit out of the era for this car, but I think it should fit pretty well.
You know, there's been all sorts of F1 cars, doesn't matter if it's modern or vintage around this place. I think it'll fit just fine. But we are racing the historic version of this circuit today. So 13 turns in length, 2.94 miles. Really kicks off with the big, huge, long front straightaway into probably your best passing opportunity, turn 1 and 2. And then kind of technical with some long sweeping corners through the first half of the track into another long, fast, sweeping right-hander into that turn 10 repave section. I know that we were arguing about it pre-race, Joe, but this is the historic old version of it. Gonna see some nice sweeping passes down in there into turn 10, and most crucially, just some flowing corners to end out the lap. We don't have that slow chicane over there through turn 12. It's just the nice sweeping right-handers here.
Exactly, so it should be nice and swift to finish it up, but for the championship, it'll be swift to finish it up next week since this is the penultimate round, and Sanchez is actually leading by about 5 points now over Togo Hisada. Hisada unable to attend last time out. Apologies, looks like this is a bit of the older points, but it's 421 points for Sanchez right now on the top with Hisada at 416 behind him. Now, Jorge Nieva might still have a shot, but it's a distant shot. He needs to catch up quite a bit to try and get himself back up into the range with a hope at the championship. I think second place might be a more likely opportunity for him. What about in the F2 standings with now 2 races to go here, Joey?
Right now, it is Steve Maurice currently leading the way. He's got 295 points total, about a 20-point margin over Bjorn Ackerman in second place. But then after that, the F2 battle actually closes up because they are tied for that third position between Jonathan Jordan and Kurt Clapper for that third place position. And then go down just a little bit more for that 6th place position. We actually have 3 cars here within 5 points. That's Jan Steven, Derek Matthews, and Cam Porter. A little bit of a gap after that, it falls off. We'll have to see how they fare today. I know that some of the drivers here in the F2 Championship are actually in our driver cams today.
Well, that'll be fun to watch. And as for the Cup of Nations, right now Spain is leading, as they have pretty much all season long. They've had so many fast drivers this season that it's been almost impossible to overtake them. The United States trying their best. They're a little ways behind right now. And I say a little ways, it's more than 100 points between them. So pretty much wrapped up for Spain at this stage. Japan actually close behind the U.S. with Togo Hisada, obviously, netting them a lot of the points. And then UK only behind by about 30 points or so. In the fourth spot, could upset both of them for that second position in the points. We also, of course, have our race details. Joey, what are the drivers up against?
It is the round 11 of 12, like you were mentioning earlier. I think only Road America left after this one. 20 laps is what we're doing here at Barcelona. Open setups as always, so you'll see the drivers tweak and tune it just how they see fit to really suit their driving style. No spare cars, so if you pick up any damage, you're going to have to live with it or drive down pit road to get it fixed there. A drive-through penalty at 17x and disqualification at 25x. We were talking about it. There's a lot of paved runoff here, so plenty of room to run off track and pick up those 1x's. But as I always say here, I really do feel it's getting your wheels tangled here. That's the biggest problem in the Lotus 49s.
Yep, and those wheels have a lot more grip on modern F1 cars, so they have really fast laps. But in these cars, we still haven't seen the first times being set until just about now. And they don't have a lot of that grip in the corners in comparison. So not many straights to try and make up for it. Dario Frattini with the provisional pole over Togo Hisada. Now, is Sanchez here today? Because I haven't, yes, it looks like he is here today. But actually, I'm noticing his qualifying is over. Sanchez must have had a mistake and wrecked on his first lap because he has not set a time. And this puts an open goal in front of Togo Hisada to try and gather a lot of points today.
That's very interesting. Out of that number 3 car, we're riding on with, I believe this is Glenn Becker, who we're on board with as we dive down into this tight left-hander here. Always interesting. You don't think of Catalunya to have very much elevation change, but it does have a little bit over the course of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as dramatic as some places, but definitely has a fair few rises and crests, as we see right here coming over Campsa, one of those spots where the drivers will see the car get a little bit light, and then Becker trying to line up the braking down at Lacage. You can see how much the nose dips down as he slams on the brakes to try and get it into there. Hisada's second lap not going to happen either. Something must have happened to him. So he's third at best in the qualifying right now. Still not a bad position to be in. And this will help make up for the 2 drop weeks that he already has zeros in, unfortunately. That's really the difficult part for Togo, Joey, is that he's missed 2 rounds, and that eats up any opportunity he has for sort of a safety net.
Yeah, but if I know Togo Hisada, he's going to come out there every week with his hair on fire and try to win every single race. I think it's just kind of what he knows how to do. And as we're talking, top spot just taken away. Jorge Nieva now on provisional pole.
Ooh, and I said he needed something special to try and get himself back into it. He has his one win his first ever win that he took at the opening round at Monza this season. Can he back it up at the end and bookend the races with victories this time around? Seb Tixier usually is not qualifying these days. He is in a Smurf account, as we call it. So he's starting from the back and trying to see how far forward he can climb. And we'll see what he does here today. Most likely, again, coming from the back. And yeah, he's going to park the car before he crosses the line. Who else do we have that still needs to set a lap? Looks like Kurt Clapper hasn't, but we usually don't see him set a time. And then looks like, Ben Zoko needs his second lap, but Zoko's second lap gets deleted.
That's unfortunate because we're used to seeing Ben up there inside the top 10. We're watching Kurt Clapper in the number 25 around the last 3 corners here. It's a little bit tedious, Joe. A lot of these final corners, they seem very similar, don't they?
Absolutely. And yet they're all so very different from one another. He also is going to park it looks like. I do know Robert Plumley is on his second lap in the number 16 right now. So he's down in 21st. This is him coming up through Box Sabadell. And here we'll get a good idea of what you were talking about, the similarity between these corners, but all downhill.
And just enough downhill to make it a little bit annoying, dare I say, because the car is just kind of falling away. You want the grip on that front left tire and just never seems to come to you. This lap looks pretty good out of Robert. It's going to jump him up into the 17th place, so up a handful of positions.
Nicely done. We've got about 20 seconds left, and it doesn't look like anybody else can set a lap. So that means our grid is set for today. Let's head through our starting order for today's event, penultimate round. And it is Jorge Nieva on the pole position with Nacho Gaspar starting next to him. Nacho's stolen wins now in this season, even though he's not in the championship. He could be a problem for Jorge. Dario Frattini will start from third. Ove Trangrade with an excellent lap to put himself in fourth. Hisada only able to get that one lap in, but that's good enough for a top 5. John Olson will start to the outside of him. Then it's Matthew Maudsley in 7th, followed by Glenn Becker. Excellent lap for him there in 8th. Steve Morris starts 9th, and Kyle Ridley rounds out your top 10.
Then in 11th place, we have the number 12 car of Neil Kemp. And in 12th place, we have the number 11 car of Yuri Giesen, if that's not confusing enough. We have the number 13 car in 13th place of David Rossi. Then Farron Grau in 14th. Bjorn Ackerman with a nice top 15 qualifying effort. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado starting in 16th. Robert Plumley 17th. Jan Steven in 18th. Michael Grissinger 19th. And Christo Chinmay in 20th.
Pierre Schroux is going to be starting 21st, followed by Derek Matthews in 22nd. Then it's Jonathan Jordan in the 23rd spot. Jordan Zoko, not sure if there's relation there to Ben, will start from 24th, as Sandro Scary will be in 25th. Last one to set a time. Xavier Sanchez will be 26th. Still a lot of cars to overtake. And then Ben Zoko behind him. Terry Traumahauser behind him, 28th. Jason Clapper in 27th. Kurt Clapper will be P29. Andrew Ang, 30th. Tixie actually starts 31st. Mats Linden, 32nd. Oscar Plata, 33rd. And Ben Zoko last on the field in 34th. So not the biggest field we've seen, but big enough that it's going to be a full track here today, no doubt. We're waiting for the last of the drivers to finish gridding up. And with it being early in the morning, it is thankfully a nice cool track, Joey. I've seen it get pretty hot here in the past.
Yeah, I know we're getting close to green flag. We do have a full grid. I mean, there's only 5 grid spots still available.
In fact, the green flag is out, and it's a very good start from third place for Tini, but he's got no place to take it. Second phase goes to Jorge Nieva, who is starting to pull ahead. Nacho Gaspar now finding himself flanked by a couple cars as they break down into the first corner, into Elf, and it looks like just a little bit of a bobble from Frattini to keep it on the track, but he does not wreck it. Not seeing any cars off, except now at the very back, looks like we've got Terry Traumahauser off the course.
Yeah, I believe Jason Clapper was involved in it. Unfortunately, Xavier Sanchez was spun around on the front straightaway, so unfortunate for him. But look at this. We've still got 30 cars. And oh, no, Togo Hisada is off in turn number 3.
Oh, this is awful news. In fact, it's a big pileup with a bunch of cars back there. We'll see if we can get some visuals on it a little bit later and who started it, but unfortunately that has sent a bunch of cars out of position, although thankfully I think most are able to continue.
Most were able to continue. It doesn't look like Togo actually hit anything, so I can't wait to see the comeback drive out of that number 4, but right now, still our pole sitter, Jorge Nieva leading the way, but Nacho Gaspar looking down to the inside, not close enough this time.
Big look, and that number 1 just about had the overlap. Not going to do it. Frattini's still behind them in third. John Olson is up 2 spots to be in 4th now. Nicely done by him. They're just about ready to complete lap 1, and unfortunately a little bit messy in the mid-pack.
I'm noticing Steve Morris up a few positions, and I mention him because he is leading the F2 points championship right now, and he's inside the top 6. That's a tremendous start for this driver.
Let's see if anybody has any moves here down into Elf once again. If not, let's take a look at the replay in a second. And coming down into there, it looks like everybody's a little too far away this time. Let's see if we can try and untangle what happened down into Repsol. It's that next long right-hander, bit of a downhill run. We're looking at Farron Grau. Oh, no. Just lost control of it, went across the field. Almost looked like a chain reaction. You didn't hit anybody, but everybody checked up maybe here, Joey?
Well, and right in front of Farron is actually Toga Hisada going off in kind of the same fashion. You see a handful of cars, Joe. I just wonder if that was a problem area with cold tires being the first lap in full fuel and catching drivers out, multiple drivers.
Could be, and seems to have sent Toga Hisada down to 13th. So he's not all the way at the back, but his hopes of being able to gain a lot of points look like they may have proved a little more difficult here today. And we're riding on board in this fight for the lead once again. Gaspar still clinging to the back of Jorge Nieva. Again, the battle of the Spanish drivers, all contributing massive points this season towards that Cup of Nations. Bertini behind them, racing for Club Italy, hoping to try and disrupt that.
I know that Gaspar has really come in here this season and kind of thrown it down. You know, we hadn't seen too much of that driver in previous seasons, so always interesting to see the drivers come in here, who's going to rise to the top, and he's actually really, really close right here to Jorge Nieva, tucked up into the slipstream. He's going to be able to make an opportunity. Goff, he goes driver's right, but decides not to make the pass this time. Joe, I wonder if there's a little bit of a mind game he's playing.
Yeah, could be trying to be patient, make a nice solid move rather than risking it so early. We also have had some fierce fighting in the back. Bonk Sabadell saw a battle for 11th or 12th place with Hisada, Ridley, Geeson, 3 wide through there. That's not something you see often, but they got away with it. I heard a little bit of complaining over the radio, though, so I'm not sure everybody was happy about it. As this battle for the lead carries on, just won't go away. Gaspar is just harassing Jorge.
And Nieva actually had to go defensive there into turn number 5. Here comes Gaspar, but yeah, you're right. It's not really a passing opportunity going in there, but I have a feeling the more that Gaspar kind of takes a look at the lead, it's drawing in that number 6 car. Dario Frattini is getting ever so closer.
Oh, this is an excellent run. This is the closest he's been. Interesting that Jorge is not going to defend the inside. He lets Nacho have it as they overlap down into the brake zone of Lecaja, but he's going to sneak through. New leader in Nacho Gaspar.
I really wonder if that was the case, that Nacho had presented the car a few times in the laps previous, but he didn't send it on the brakes. Wonder if Nieva just kind of knew he had the pass made and Nacho's got a little bit more speed right now.
Had a spin from Marco Salgado. Actually, I think he may have had help now that I get a look at it on my screen. So that sent him off course, and he falls down to 20th. We continue to watch the leaders here. Looks like no return attempt from Jorge down into Elf this time, but Dario Frattini not giving up on them. He's sticking with the pair.
This is the podium fight here, so curious to see how it all settles out, if Jorge's able to attach himself onto the gearbox of Gaspar now that he's got the lead, or if we're going to see Dario Frattini here go up and attack Jorge Nieva.
And just behind this, there's quite a battle for 4th as well. Olsen ahead of Ove Trangrade after he made those good moves at the start. There they are on screen now. That's John Olsen in the blue and white, and in the orange and red is Ove Trangrade coming down into Seat here. Oof, that is getting very close between them through that corner. This is one of those areas of elevation change you were talking about, really far downhill.
Ove Trangrade just kind of doing Trangrade things where he's behind a really fast car, applying a ton of pressure, and wonder if he's going to be able to make John Olsen crack up here, or if he's going to be able to get close enough to make a late braking attempt. But one thing I've learned about watching Ove is that he's always consistent on the racetrack.
Absolutely. Well, consistently loose, too. He loves that car to hang the rear end out, and it looks much more in control right now, but wait for the end of the race. That thing will be slipping and sliding, and he likes it that way. It comes down through Europe car, and just a little too far back here. He needs a good exit out of New Holland.
Chasing John Olsen onto the front straightaway. You see the pack of our 3 leaders just barely in front. And then right behind is Steve Morris and Neil Kemp. I don't think that trend grade is quite close enough down the front straightaway here. And these cars do produce a slipstream, so you can tow with them, but it's not quite as drastic as the newer stuff with all the big giant wings punching the big hole in the air.
And we got the 2 battles up here now. Down on the bottom right, that is your battle for the lead. Up on the main screen, that is the battle for 4th, and there's a big look for Trangrade, but could not get the overlap. Have we mentioned, though, that Xavier Sanchez has retired from this race, so he is not going to get good points?
At the very beginning, we didn't really catch it, but on the initial start, Joe, on the front straightaway, he was found himself in the driver's left wall, so I'm not surprised.
Wow. Awful start to the penultimate race for him after he had just taken the points lead. His only hope is that Hisada also trips up, although he has somewhat. He's still in 10th and is going to at least get a few points in on him. The question is how many once this is done. The drop points obviously complicates that tremendously. The battle for 4th, though, still going on. Olsen ahead of Trangrade. Looks like they're starting to lose a little touch with those top 3.
I think that Trangrade's getting a little hungry here. He kind of wants by John Olsen. Same way that Dario Fertini wants by Jorge Nieva up there. Nacho Gaspar is kind of doing the same thing that we're seeing here with this battle. He's starting to stretch it out just a little bit. So working lap 5, coming around to start lap number 6 here. So just about a quarter of the way into this race. I'm curious to see how it plays out. And you also see Togo Hisada back there starting to make a move on Glenn Becker down the front straightaway.
Yep, he's going to look down to the inside. Becker does not defend, lets him have it. As they get to the brake zone, they're dead even on the binders, but the apex goes to the Japanese driver. Hisada moves up to 9th. Now, since it is an important storyline between Togo and his rival Sanchez, let's take a look at the replay on what put Xavier out of this race. Talk us through it, Joey.
Like I said, this was on the initial start. It was a 3-wide moment. Sanchez was trying to accelerate up. He had that poor qualifying, remember? So he was at the very, very back of the pack. And unfortunately, when you got to drive through the scrum back there, some mistakes can happen. And unfortunately, just got the wheels caught up with another competitor.
All right, so there you go. That is what took out our points leader from this second to last race in the championship, and his rival here on screen, Togo Hisada, just took another spot after losing plenty himself on the first lap and is trying to play catch up. Oh, we just had a problem with Jan Steven just now. This is the number 24, and it looks like Ben Zoko, unfortunately, involved in it. He was one of our hardest chargers. He was up 10. He had to take a tow, so he's now out of this race. Attrition a little bit higher than I anticipated here, Joey.
It is. We were talking that there was plenty of runoff available pre-race, but I'm surprised to see so many cars have contact with the wall. You're right. And we're only about a quarter of the way through it, so I think between that, I think we're also going to see lap traffic come into play here today.
So I think it looks like we got that incident ready to go here. Coming up through, oh, Jan a little bit too far out, and poor Ben just could not avoid it, and that clipped him straight into the wall.
Ben did everything right. He saw the wreck. He went all the way, driver's left. He was off the gas, but just unfortunate there. The car kept tracking across the racetrack, and you see the result of it, the number 8 off into the wall. Steven carries on, but obviously lost a few places from that. He's down to 19th. Don't know what damage is on the car. Now, back up to the battle for what is now P2. Gaspar isn't completely away from them. Look at how close to the gearbox Fertini is getting. Just about pushing Nieva up through Vert there.
That is getting a little bit tight. I'm getting the sense that Dario eventually is going to start making moves like we saw Nacho doing.
Well, I know that we've seen plenty of bump drafting in iRacing. I just never thought we'd see it in the Lotus 49s. And not only that, but right in the middle of the apex, too, Joe.
Yeah, and not exactly where you want to make contact. Cars are going to be right on the limit there. Thankfully, did not seem to touch one another in a way that would send them spinning here. That's the last thing Jorge wants. Again, finally, after years of trying in this series, got his first ever win. And the Grand Prix Legends, that was a big wiggle off the last corner.
Yeah, and it's going to set him up nicely for the slipstream. Fertini right tucked up. Now he's going to move to driver's right. It's going to put him on the inside into turn one, but look at how deep on the brakes Nieva takes it. Actually, Fertini has a little bit of a lockup. That shows you how hard Jorge Nieva is pushing it to keep that second place.
He doesn't want to give that one up. Again, he's a long shot for the championship, but still mathematically in it. So he's trying his best to give himself the best opportunity here as they fly down through Repsol once again. But look at this. Togo Hisada is going to sneak inside of Matthew Maudsley, who's hanging around the outside, just can't keep the grip, and has to give way to Togo up to P8. He's also right close to Neil Kemp, so he's still got another opportunity, and Kemp goes a little wide.
And actually gets a little loose coming off of the corner. That's just going to open the door even more for Togo Hisada. Not really a passing opportunity right here, but you just see he's already all up on the back gearbox. If he sees any door open, he's going to take it, and I bet you it's going to come in the form of down this straightaway right here. It's right on the back of the number 12 car. Does he go out driver's left? He does go late on the brakes, does Togo Hisada. Doesn't quite complete the pass, though.
He is hungry right now. He's chewing them up and spitting them out, but he's going to be on the wrong side of Bonk Sabadell and the next two corners. He's trying to hang tough. Just nothing there for him. Oh, gets into the back of him. Neil Kemp struggling to put the power down.
Yeah, and it was just kind of a miscommunication there between the two. I don't think it's going to hurt Togo Hisada too much, and you see him really just able to execute the pass now that he's on the front straightaway. But going to go back and look at if there's any sort of damage. And yeah, look at this, Joe. There is a little bit of nose damage now on the number 4.
Both of them dead even as they slam on the brakes down into Elf, but Hisada has the inside. Neil Kemp's not going to give way. He is going to hold him at bay, chops down across him. This gives an opportunity for Maudsley to try and get involved once again, and that is Glenn Becker in the background who's starting to approach with all this fierce fighting, slowing them up.
I really thought that Togo was going to be able to drive away when he got to the inside of Neil Kemp there, but a tremendous piece of driving from Kemp just to hang on to this 7th place position. It is not easy to fend off Togo Hisada, and he's doing a great job.
Kemp holding on by his fingernails, my goodness, and it seems like Hisada is trying everything, including the kitchen sink, as they come down and divert now. And this time he's able to try and over-under him a little bit, gets a better exit, but the car slips up. He just doesn't have enough straightaway before Campsa. This is where he really needs the run. The car does not look like it has it, though.
Oh, and I'm watching Matthew Maudsley see what he decides to do. Togo Hisada now to the outside, try a new way around Neil Kemp, but I don't think he's going to find the grip on this part of the racetrack way out here in the dirty stuff. And I just have a feeling, Joe, things might boil over here pretty soon.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit frantic. They might need to calm down a little bit or else it'll go south in a big way. And they have now really been caught by Glenn Becker. They have been just battling each other so fiercely. Fertini with the fastest lap in the meantime ahead of all of this. That has been fascinating. On to the main straight they go with Neil Kemp leading this train of cars. Looks a little slow in a straight line compared to Hisada as he breaks down to the inside, and they do come together, both of them off, and they're going to collect Matthew Maudsley as well. Hisada able to carry on, but how damaged is the car as he has to cut across the gravel? I think it is walking wounded, and Glenn Becker going to be able to get by him as Maudsley somehow gets away with a big hit to the car and carries on.
Really unfortunate to see that incident down there in turn 1. We're going to get this GSRC replay, and I do believe Togo Hisada is coming across the track a little bit here. I'm not going to fault him completely because there was a whole car width plus over on driver's left side that was not being used, but just unfortunate to see that one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that it came to that, but you called it, and I was with you. It felt like it had all the makings of things suddenly unfolding in a poor way, and all it took was just one move. It's such a high-speed part of the track, and these cars tangling wheels is bad news.
Thankfully, we are in the virtual world, Joe, because that hit that Kemp took, holy smokes, that was a big head-on impact into concrete.
Yeah, this is why we're able to race these old dangerous cars here in this world. But yeah, I'd say that number 4 looks like it's a little bit out of sorts now, unfortunately. Meanwhile, our leaders down the main straight, Gaspar leads, Nieva leads Frattini. Nothing has changed, but Dario has been poking his nose a little bit.
Yeah, look at how close they are getting. Frattini all over the back gearbox of Jorge Nieva, just trying to get to the inside, just trying to get whatever forward drive he can to see about a late braking maneuver. But remember, Jorge Nieva has been able to hold off that late brake charge into turn 1. He is very confident on the binders.
Looking down into Seat here. He gets down to the inside. Jorge, again, not defending, lets him through and still takes a 3rd place. Frattini now moves up into P2. Is he faster than Nacho as well?
You know, I wasn't planning on Frattini making a move right there, but these racing drivers, they're continuing to prove me wrong all the time, Joe.
And my experience has been that it's difficult to pass here, and it does look like it's still tough, but I'm impressed at the creative places they've been able to make the overtakes today.
Sometimes I think that's what you got to get, and when you got a competitor like Jorge Nieva, I think he's also realizing when the speed is coming and how far he can hold them off before unfortunate things happen, like we've seen already to other competitors on the track.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing to keep in mind is that Hisada did not wreck out, though I'm pretty sure he took some big damage. He's still running 9th, so he technically didn't lose any positions with that incident.
So I went back and I've looked at from his cockpit point of view. He does have damage on the car. The steering wheel is skewed just slightly going down the front straightaway. But you're right, didn't lose a ton of track position. But you see, the car is not 100% stable going down the front straightaway here.
Yeah, he's got it steered a little bit to the right to keep it tracking straight. But, I mean, that makes it all the more impressive that he's still chasing Glenn Becker here.
No, I agree with you. It is completely wild that he hasn't lost almost any track position, and with a broken car, he's back in the fight.
I need to look at his pace here to see if it has been slowed down by that. 44.3. Yeah, I mean, he's still running laps comparable to what he was before. This is just unbelievable, the way that he's got a never say die attitude today. He's not giving up on this one, knowing that a 2nd championship is on the line and his rival is out of this race. He needs to collect points, and he's going to see that checkered flag come hell or high water.
I mean, to make it even more impressive, Joe, he's the 3rd fastest car on the racetrack. The next fastest is Glenn Becker, who he's chasing. The only car faster, the leader, Nacho Gaspar. He's running pace of P2, P3, which is Frattini and Nieva up there.
Yep, and they're still together. Frattini may have gotten the spot, but Jorge's keeping him honest. And now Nacho Gaspar just reeling away a little bit from the pair of them. A few more car lengths at a time, and we're past halfway through this race. If he can keep that up, he's got another win. And I actually need to check the stats for this season. So if he wins, he'll join Togo and Zabier, all being tied on 3 wins this season.
Well, he sets another purple fastest lap with a 1:43.8. Starting to lay it down a little bit, but I'm actually seeing the number 9 car, Jorge Nieva, after he's gotten passed by both Gaspar and Frattini, he's actually right back in the fight, a 1:43.8 from that driver as well last time around.
And Nacho missed the first 3 races, then also was not around for Long Beach, so hence why he is not in the championship battle, even though he's taken so many wins. In fact, a good chunk of his finishes have been podiums when he does show up. I think he's only had one finish this season, and that's at Watkins Glen, that wasn't on the podium. He has been strikingly consistent, and if he starts showing up for the full season next time out, you got to imagine he's going to be a rival for the crown.
I mentioned we haven't seen him much in previous seasons, but this time around, he's just come in here. He's really laid it down on a lot of these racetracks and proved that he is the fastest car out here. And once again, coming up here at Barcelona, laying down a tremendous qualifying effort, but it proves to be his race pace that is better than his qualifying pace. And here he is just kind of leading the race, setting the pace.
Doing a fantastic job on it. And now, as they carry on around, they've got lap traffic in the form of Scary just in front of him. He's going to stay off to the left-hand side. Nacho looks like he was slightly compromised, but nothing too dramatic, so he'll be able to get past. And now on the front stretch, Sandro going to at least allow second place by. Frattini sneaks through, but Nieva is the one that's left hung out to dry. Oh, a mistake down to the first corner by Nacho Gaspar. He outbraked himself, and here comes Frattini trying around the outside through Renault.
Oh, and Jorge Nieva continues to get held up by traffic. He is chomping at the bit as Frattini tries over, under, any way he can to get a nose at the lead here, trying to go around the outside of turn number 4. We've seen him go really late on the brakes on Nieva, setting up into 5 here. Let's see if he does the same thing, but Gaspar covers it off nicely.
They plunge down the hill once again. Gaspar a lot more under threat than I would have anticipated just a lap ago, while Dario Frattini, and once again, he goes too deep, and now he's off the course. Gaspar goes from first to third. Will he also lose out as Trangrate's not far behind? Ove sneaks on past. Gaspar is off the podium. Frattini is looking at a win.
Such a shame from that driver because he was doing a tremendous job, but get the little bit of a replay here. We're riding on board with Gaspar. You see he's just going to go too deep on the brakes and ultimately off into the gravel. Doesn't hit anything, but the damage is already done.
You've seen Dario show up this time around this season, but I do not see him on our stat sheet, which means he has no podiums and no wins. This would be a first for him. This is something that has got to be a lot of pressure inside the cockpit, and this will be telling if he can withstand this immense opportunity.
You blink twice and this race is gone. I was just mentioning that we were 1/4 of the way through. Well, we're about 3/4 of the way through the race now. Ove Trangrate in this number 1 car of Nacho Gaspar down into turn 1. Nacho trying to get those places back, but Trangrate fighting hard. Looks like Gaspar's going to go up that spot.
In a 3-wide situation with lap traffic, not bad. When it comes to crunch time, Nacho seems to be able to deliver as they come down into Repsol once again. And despite a look there from Ove, he can't get it back. Nacho back onto the podium, but he has 4.3 seconds to make up just to get to Jorge.
It's not going to happen, Joe. You can put the red mist in the visor all you want, which is what we're seeing out of Nacho Gaspar. He is driving angry right now, and that is a very dangerous racing car driver because A, he can set the timesheets on fire, but B, he can also wreck the car from not paying attention as much as he should. So keep an eye on that number 1 car, red mist for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to be working extra hard now. So does Jorge try and fight back on Dario as well, trying to get that lead back from him because he's still within 0.6 of a second. Here they are on screen right now, coming up through Banque Sabadell. And going to be 5 laps to go when they cross the line. He's close enough, but he's going to need a little bit extra oomph to catch that number 6 machine.
See what he's got saved in terms of the tires for the last the last handful of laps here. Not quite close enough going down into turn 1. It's going to be a little bit more of a chess game versus a brawl between these two.
Now, while they aren't directly fighting, I wonder if we could give some love to our hard chargers. One of them, no surprise, is Jason Clapper, who's up 13. He's in 15th position. He almost never qualifies, so we kind of expect him to be able to do that. There you see him on screen now. Now, the one that has done better than him is Mats Linden, up 14, starting 33rd on the grid. He's currently sitting in 19th, so Matt's doing an excellent job. Kind of on his lonesome, though. You can see nobody around right now.
Yeah, but like you said, up 14 positions, so started way back there in 33rd on that standing start, doing a tremendous job out there. And the other one that I wanted to mention, up 12 positions, just a few behind there, is Oscar Plata. This is a name that I don't really recognize too much, but started 34th, up 12 into 22nd.
Hailing out of Pennsylvania, apparently, and doing pretty good, staying out of the drama. I think that's really the first part of the battle. Looks like he's able to manage it here today as Glenn Becker is on the chase on Matthew Maudsley. Both of them sliding coming out of Campsa, but neither going to change positions this time as we check the onboard camera here with Glenn Becker. Somebody's off course next to them. That is Sandro Scary. So he's a lap car going to stay out of the way. Hopefully, just about having contact there with Glenn Becker, but they stay out of each other.
Do you see Glenn exhale coming out of that? Now he's making the comments out of that corner right there, but I'm surprised. He's in virtual reality. I was waiting for the hand out the window there.
Yeah, really. No doubt frustrated by that, but they all got away with it. Unfortunately, it did cost him a lot of ground to Matthew Maudsley. It's up to about 0.8 of a second when he was hoping what to look like have a little bit of a pass there for at least a brief moment. Taking a lot of the inside curbs. Here is Glenn Becker as he gets greedy over those right and white and red little chiseled curbs, and then out onto the stretch up to Repsol. He's going to have to regain some ground here in the final 4 laps.
I always loved those shots of seeing the competitors, especially in the virtual reality, as they lean into the corners and whatnot. And you could really see Glenn Becker there kind of doing the reset, taking the big exhale over here. He knows he's got a fight with Matthew Maudsley. I mean, got a big wiggle there coming out at turn 5. I do think that he's got a little bit more pace than the car in front of him, and just going to be, does he have enough time to make the move?
Exactly. He's got to try and get on his horse and try and fight back here. We'll see if he can, as something seems to have happened to David Rossi, as I just saw him plunging down our tower there for a second. He's down to 11th. I think he had an off coming up through Vert, so he's going to lose yet another position to Kyle Ridley there, unfortunately. Looks like a late race incident for him as onto the front stretch. Now watching our leaders. Here is what happened to Rossi, I believe. Yeah, this is coming up to Vert. Did he get help? Oh, yes, they did. Big help.
Yeah, it just kind of looked like the two cars, they move a lot under braking sometimes, Joe, and we mentioned how many sweeping corners there are here. Well, if you're not completely settled when you hit that brake pedal, they tend to wander a little bit, and unfortunately, it seemed like they wandered into each other.
Well, wandering his way back into third, Nacho Gaspar still sees Ove Trangerade close behind him. Ove would like that one back to add to his tally of podiums. I think, in fact, he's got some of the most podiums on our records list. I'll have to double check that, but he's been around a long time and he's been fighting for wins for a long time. And that's not going to get him one here today, but nice save as he was counter steering all the way down through Sayat.
Well, you mentioned how he liked to drive a loose race car. Unfortunately, I think that was a little bit too loose going down there into turn number 5. Going to have to climb all of that ground back to Nacho Gaspar, while Nacho's probably taking a little bit of a breather himself.
Yeah, I'm sure he appreciates having that extra gap. By the way, Trangerade second on the all-time list of podiums, only to, of course, McClarridge, as we get a slow-mo replay. And you know what is critical there? Look at how early he recognized the issue. Was already counter-steering on the way in.
And turn 5 is so tricky to get technical. It is downhill, so there's nothing there to catch the car. If you overstep the limit, it just seems to slide forever on you.
Thankfully, he had enough racetrack that he kept it from going into the dirt. Meanwhile, back to Glenn Becker once again. has recaptured Matthew Maudsley, but hasn't passed him yet. This is for the 7th position, and they're coming down to 2 laps to go as they cross the line.
Maudsley got a really nice run out of the final corner. You see him kind of going defensive. I actually don't think that Glenn Becker is quite close enough here that he needs to do that going down into turn 1, but it just kind of shows you the mindset of the two drivers. Glenn Becker, full attack mode. Matthew Maudsley definitely sees him in the mirror.
To try and defend these last couple laps, see if he can hold him off. Steve Morris is that car that you can see ahead of him. That is for position. So if they play nice, actually, they might be able to run him down in time, but it'll be a long shot. If they battle, I'd say that you can throw that one out the window.
I think it'll be tough to go up there and catch Steve Morris. And I mentioned this is a tremendous day for him. He's leading that F2 points championship, and here he is knocking on the door for a top 5 in the 6th position.
As they climb back up the hill towards Campsa here. Going to crest over that fast right-hander. Needs a good exit, does Glenn Becker, but looks like they're still even coming off the turns. Very evenly matched between one another, and they're getting ready to take the white flag pretty soon. In fact, Dario Frattini, our current leader, looking for his first ever win, is just getting ready to take it now ahead of Jorge Nieva by a scant 0.8 of a second.
You see him use up all of that track exit as they get that white flag. 1 lap to go here at Barcelona.
Nieva still in the tire tracks. They're still about 5 seconds ahead of Nacho Gaspar. It's down to these two. They don't have to worry about who's behind. It is all about this battle for the win. Jorge, with a 2nd place, still has valuable points in his lap, but will he settle for that, or will he push for the win?
You see one of the lap cars getting out of the way on the run down to turn number 4 here. I still see one more just in front of our leader here. That's going to be Jordan Zocco off into turn number 5. It'll be curious. Is he going to get in the middle?
And, oh, well, the car's wiggling a lot there for Jordan. It doesn't seem to be very happy. And he comes back to the racing line just as Dario starts to approach him. This is where he needs that car to step out of the way. And there he goes. Nicely done. But that does hold him up slightly. Nieva's now down to 0.4 of a second, but he's running out of opportunities. Lecage is probably the best really good passing place, and I don't see that 9 car close enough.
I agree with you. Just not quite close enough. It's going to have to be a mistake. And there's a little mistake out of Jorge Nieva as he was so deep on the brakes.
Yeah, I think he was trying, hoping that maybe something would come out of it, but this is moves of desperation from here. Frattini just has to stay solid through the last couple corners, and he's going to take his maiden win as Nieva continues to fill the mirrors down into New Holland out of that last corner. Dario Frattini is now a race winner here in the Grand Prix Legend Series.
What a race. Nieva going to come home 2nd, and it is Nacho Gaspar that fends off Ove Trengrade for that final step on the podium.
Where does Hisada wind up after what was a great opportunity for at least a podium here today? I think the number 4 car is going to have to try and settle for 9th, as there is the Wounded Machine limping across the line in 9th place.
The rest of the field's going to be coming across start finish here as we take a look at whatever battles are left. This is Christo Chinmay back in the 17th position, holding off Mats Linden right behind him. Just going through the final few corners here. 2 right-handers remain for these competitors after this corner exit here. Just a downhill sweeping right-hander. You'll be able to see Barney the Flagman after this right corner that the 29 is going through right now.
Yep, both of them make it nice and clean to the finish. Only 23 cars going to see all of the laps of this race completed, which the last of them coming across. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Welcome back to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, where the historic layout saw the penultimate round of the Grand Prix Legends Series, and Dario Frattini took his first ever win in the Grand Prix Legends over Jorge Nieva, with Nacho Gaspar looking like he had it not under control, but it looked like he had a very good shot at taking the win today, and kind of was his own worst enemy. He still got a podium over Ove Trangerade, and John Olsen got a top five. Steve Morris, who saw himself being closed in upon late in the race, still collected a six over Matthew Maudsley. Glenn Becker, who was certainly in the wars, found himself finishing eighth. Togo Hisada, unfortunately, with mistakes early in the race and late in the race, fell down to ninth, but was able to at least bring the car home, which is amazing considering the hit that he had on the wall. Yuri Geeson rounds out the top 10.
In 11th place, we have Kyle Ridley, then followed up with Robert Plumley here in 12th. Jason Clapper, who is your biggest mover at the end of the race, up 15 positions to finish in the 13th spot. Farron Grau finishing 14th. Jan Steven with the top 15 finish. Pierre Shu with 16th. Christo Shinmai finishes 17th. Mats Linden 18th, also up 15 positions was Mats Linden, so tremendous drive from him. Jonathan Jordan 19th, and Kurt Clapper with a top 20 finish.
Oscar Plata got himself 21st, up 13th spots. Andrew Ang was 22nd behind him, and Derek Matthews 23rd. Last on the lead lap, Jordan Zoko, who we'll have to find out if there is indeed relation with Ben, finished 24th. Michael Grissinger 25th, and David Rossi sadly was down 2 laps in the end at 26th. Salgado 27th, also 2 down. From there you get to the DNFs, all the way to 34th. Sadly last on the field with Xavier Sanchez. That's going to be a gut punch for him, knowing how things were looking coming into this race. In the meantime, curious to hear how the emotions are for Nacho Gaspar. Nieva, rather. It looks like we've got Jorge Nieva, who finished second in this race, who should be leading the points after this. And we're going to have a little chat with the number 9 driver here as we pull him in. Jorge, congratulations on a second place. Couldn't quite chase down Dario, but do you take sort of comfort knowing that your championship rivals were all kind of by the wayside today?
Yeah, of course. I assume that I would not win this race. So when I saw Heikki and Togo with a very bad qualifying, I knew that my race was quiet one, letting them by because they were way faster than me. So yeah.
Also, this being another home territory track here with one of those few Spanish circuits on iRacing, was it important for you to get a good finish?
Not especially. I'm not a person who looks at where are we driving. There are some tracks I like, and there are others that I don't. Montmeló is in a special track for me, so it didn't matter much.
Gotcha. It makes sense. So, well, obviously, you gained a lot of points. We're coming into the last round of the season next week at Road America. Do you think about the championship at that last round, or do you not worry about it and just go for broke?
I don't know how far I am from the championship, but I assume it's at least 20 or 30 points, and both. Well, Togo I think doesn't have drop weeks left, but Heikki does. So I think Xavier will win this championship, and well deserved.
Yeah, he's had a fierce fight up there, but you have as well. Beautiful championship this season, including your first win. So can't wait to see you out at Wisconsin, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Jorge Nieva, our second place finisher here today. And looks like just at the last second, we are going to get Togo Hisada ready to talk to us. Curious, Joey, to hear what he thought of today's race.
Well, Togo Hisada, thank you for joining us for an interview. I know that it's not under the circumstances that you would like, finishing 9th place today. Talk us through your race from your eyes.
Yeah, just totally my the always I lost the concentration at all and the totally careless. The start my left hand numbing numb in qualifying laps and the span to second lap and the start mistake. Yeah, it's simply lack of concentration and the hitting with new computers. Yeah, I turning to him. So yeah, my fault.
Well, I love seeing that you raised your hand. You said, hey, that's my fault, my bad out there. I saw you continue with a little bit of damage, but you got to be able to put this one in the past. Looking forward to Road America. Are you going to do lots of prep going into there? How's your confidence going into that track in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't like Road America. Yeah, I'm not good at all. I'm not fast, so that it's gonna be so challenging to race at this track. So put a lot of pressure. I don't have the last week or no it counted only 8 I think in the GSRC championship. So it's no um sorry mate, but really I don't like this. I don't like loader maker. So just only practice and the no mistakes and get to the better position next week.
Well, fingers crossed that you do have some better luck next week at Road America. I know that you did not have very good luck here today. And like I said, hopefully you can put this one in the past. Anybody you want to say hi to while we've got you, Togo?
Yeah, my family and the Lotus 49 community. And I'm so sorry for the new camp for the contact.
Well, that is a world-class racing driver. He raised his hand. He made the mistake. He admitted it. Togo Hisada, unfortunately, coming home 9th today at Barcelona.
Which is going to wrap up our interviews. So we want to give some thank yous before we head out, of course, to the Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, thanks to the team today, Eddie, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, next race, Road America, Saturday, September 3rd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That'll be a good one to have the championship wrap up at. But be sure to check out our other broadcast list here because we're not done yet today. Camel GT goes to the Red Bull Ring at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.